John, welcome to our first broadcast from inside my car. People are asking me if I'm homeless, but I'm not. There's a number of technical reasons why I've put together this car broadcasting system here. How are you tonight, John?
Great. Sounds great. Sounds like you're in an acoustic isolation booth or something like that.
Well, I don't know if I ever told you this, but when I bought this car, I took the whole thing apart and put all kinds of sound. People are asking if I'm, whoops, is there a browser open
Oops.
somewhere? It's okay.
Yep, I
I
killed it.
put all kinds of soundproofing material in the interior of the doors, and I've recreated basically every aspect of the New York studio in this car, including active noise cancellation, high bitrate internet. I'm working on mobile high bitrate internet. That'll be the next phase of the plan. But tonight we're going to talk about another technological breakthrough, which is Space Force. They're 5 years old. It's the fifth anniversary, the birthday or whatever you want to call it, of Space Force. What have you prepared for us today, John?
Well, it seemed apropos, given all that crap flying around all over the place.
Mm.
And 5 years in, are these guys ready? I mean, is it showtime? And if it's not
What has it
showtime,
done? What does Space
when is
Force
it?
do? Has it done anything?
Well, that's why we're here. We've got a whole bunch of content to look at. What do these guys do? And I don't. There's probably people watching the show that are subscribers to Netflix. And Netflix has had a show called Space Force with Steve Carell and Malkovich. Frickin' John Malkovich is on the
Wow.
show.
Is it a comedy with
And
Steve Carell?
yeah, yes. So it's kind of like The Office in space. And it's kind of ridiculous. So we've got a
That's a good
couple clips
idea.
that we'll.
I like that.
When we get to the patron only portion, we've got some clips from Netflix's send up of Space Force. So they were already making fun of it a year in. But I thought it was apropos because Space Force literally was started today, 5 years ago. So December 20th, 2019 was when President Trump made a declaration. And I think he was at Mar-a-Lago. I think it was with Mike Pence. And he's got Mitch McConnell's Chinese shipping wife next to him. And he makes a declaration about forming Space Force. And this is exactly 5 years ago, almost like this minute,
Wow.
right? Like 7:30 Eastern time, he makes the announcements. I mean, it's like it literally happened 5 years ago, this moment.
Wow.
And when it happened, it seemed a bit out of place. It seemed a bit like, what? Space Force? What are we doing? It wasn't like there was a Star Trek movie coming out that week or something. It wasn't like he had Chris Pine with him. It wasn't like he had the new Star Trek crew. So it's like, what's this all about? Why is he doing? What's this? What's going on? And so, I have this tendency to kind of connect strange things. So I start looking around in other places for weird things going on. And sure enough, I found some weird things going on the day before and the week before he started Space Force. And the things that were happening a week before and what have you, kind of similar to what's been going on the last couple of weeks in New Jersey. And the thing about what's going on in New Jersey is New Jersey feels a lot like a card trick to me because it's also happening in Georgia and it's also happening in Oregon and it's also happening in a bunch of different places.
But they
And
just
so
stopped talking about that. It was like every news show, every minute of every day for a week, and then just cut off.
stopped, right. And it
What's up
stopped.
with that? Did
And
they decide what those are, those mystery drones?
we're going to take a closer look at it because in different places, it seems we're seeing different things. And the different things that we're seeing are consistent with other things that have been seen in the past. And that's kind of the gist of the show here is we're going to look back in time a little bit to say, well, wait a second, the stuff that we're seeing this week, last week, the weeks, last couple of weeks, is this similar to stuff that we've seen in the past? And if so, when? Because in other words, if we're seeing all this stuff in the last week or 10 days, and we saw a bunch of similar stuff in the same period of time 5 years ago, is there something to this? is this a time of year when this activity picks up and we're only becoming aware of it because people are now pointing their iPhones in the sky at night? And we weren't really doing that 5 years ago, 6 years ago. People weren't doing the night stuff. The iPhones weren't that good at the night stuff. Now these iPhone, you got all the ones with the 5 lenses and crap. They're really good at night photography. Remember when we did that night walk in Vegas?
Yeah.
We were like in shock how good that came out. It was like, my God, this is incredible. It came out so good. Walking at night in Vegas, I was stunned by that. So the fact that we're able to do that kind of point to the sky and look at stuff, I don't know, 10 years ago, we weren't really able to do that well. The stuff came out, like a potato all the time. But they're starting to get sharper footage. And we had we've had some sessions where the government has come forward and shown footage. And we've played it here on the show before. We've got that queued up. We're going to share some of that with the patrons. But why don't we show, there's a thing or two we can show to the YouTube audience. So let's start with our deck. I think we got a birthday cake. We've got a 5-year birthday cake here. So why don't we share a couple of slides in the deck if you can do that? Now, in order for you to do that, do you have to hit the windshield wiper now, or it's all still self-contained?
No, it's all self-contained.
There's no wiper.
It should be working well, although
right, so
we
the
are getting
controls,
some interference. You were saying something is, it's amazing, man. This has been working so well, high speed up and down, and now something is messing with it, but I think we're still going here. Anyway,
all right, let's keep through my, I'm as close as I can get.
Yeah,
all right, so 5th-year birthday for, I apologize. It's definitely my connection, I'm sure.
No, there's all kinds of things going on. It's always, John, we have a tendency to make it look easy, but trust me, it never is. And also there's a million jackasses who
make it look easy. I don't do it.
A lot of jackasses who are trying to thwart me, and extra hard. I don't know if you've been, before we get to the deck, I just wanted to ask if you had seen any of the recent interaction, based on what you were saying about the drones. Our friend, boy billionaire Palmer Luckey, was getting his underpants in a knot once again. He got into an argument with me. Did you see any of that? Here's another guy.
Recently, another?
Yes, like last night, he was going crazy trying to tell me about how, here he is. He's getting all upset about, lasers. He's telling me that infrared lasers, that I'm an idiot and that they would be red on camera. So, I just did this to show him that dot is as close to white as you can get. And I don't know what the hell he thinks this is, but, I'm not the biggest expert.
Styro, they're not red. Dude, we did a whole Styro Pyro episode on infrared lasers. They're not red on camera. They're white.
Exactly.
All right, tell him what, if he wants to buy dinner, he wants you to stop peeing in his.
Wait, this is a new one that I haven't seen. He says it's very obviously isn't white. The red fringing is extremely clear. IR lasers. He's such a douchebag because what I've got right here is I've got the thumb drop, the eyedropper from Photoshop on the laser, and it's telling us 255 red, 255 green, 246 blue. This is very close to white. This guy is a friggin' maniac, first of all, because he's wrong and he just can't admit it. And he's arguing with me here. Shouldn't he be doing some billionaire shit rather than...
Yeah, he's a sociopath. He thinks he's smarter than everybody in the room. And when somebody shows up that can play to his game, he hates that shit. I mean, that's why we're not that popular, to tell you the truth. I mean, it's like, we show up and we know what we're talking about, and we kind of make everybody else look stupid. And you do it, with all this technical stuff. He doesn't know what he's talking
something
about.
is fucking with this. This thing was working great, and now we're buffering like crazy. So we're going to have to, we'll continue through the next 20 minutes here, and then we'll reset this phone that I'm broadcasting from, and we'll be back for the sponsor exclusive segment. People are going to be able to join us for that on subscribestar.com/IamJohnCullen, patreon.com/IamJohnCullen, and all of the crowdsourced, the Truth channels, Odyssey, etc. And what we'll do, John, is we'll just rebroadcast a clean version of this intro after we're done. But I'm going to reset the connection. There's high-speed internet going here. I don't understand what the hell the problem is, but it's always something, isn't it?
All right, we'll keep it in the deck, and this way we will do the videos after we restart everything.
Yeah.
So let's look at the deck. 2 weeks ago, we did a Black Friday special where we were looking at great Christmas gifts for the audience, and we were looking at the Terminator. We were looking at the flamethrower and all that. I don't know if you can go to the next slide. So turns out that one of the guys in the audience, one of our patrons, bought the flamethrower,
Wow.
not the dog. Go to the next slide. Go to the next slide. So he didn't get the dog one for
He sent you this?
but no, wait, you're going to see on the next slide. So, we looked at the dog, we looked at the drone, and we looked at the base unit. Now, the base unit you can hand hold or you can mount underneath your AR. So, yeah, go to the next slide. Michael, who's a patron of ours, said, dude, I ordered it, and he got it from Amazon.
Wow.
So he ordered the model from Amazon. And he got it, and he said it was, $350. He ordered the backpack, and if you go to the next slide, you'll see you can actually buy this on Amazon. Now, this is a slightly different model. This is Pulsefire, and it's only $518.
But why
so
is
if you
this legal?
yet,
what is the legitimate purpose for this other than being an arsonist?
I don't know. We'll have to ask Socrates or something. But in the meantime, for those of you, who are looking for a great gift for your husband. To clear the brush in the backyard, or to keep the bobcats away, nothing beats a flamethrower. Nothing says "I love you, honey" than a flamethrower you can mount underneath your AR-15. So that's been a big success, and I'm thrilled that this guy Mike got one. I think that's awesome. I mean, I love that our audience actually does this stuff. I also have been hearing from people about the binoculars. A bunch of people, if you go to the next slide, a bunch of people have said that they actually thought that was a great idea and bought the damn binoculars. So we're probably going to get a basket from the guys at Leica saying, hey, we haven't sold as many binoculars in Christmas week in years. Thank you, guys. This is great. So everybody's digging the binoculars. I'll tell you what, it is such a great gift. It is like it's a lifelong thing. It's like when you own a pair of Leica binoculars, as long as you don't get them stolen like I did, you can give these to your kids, your grandkids, that kind of. I mean, they're amazing quality, and they start like at $450. But the next gift item is something we didn't talk about Black Friday, and we still have a couple days left. And I do believe you can order this from Amazon. And this is a great social distancing stick. This is the SOG Shadow Spear, and this sells for only $69.95. So for $69.95, you can have a social distancing stick. It's a double edge. I mean, this is when you want to keep someone at bay.
That'll do it.
This is a pretty good way to do it. This is a pretty compelling way to keep someone socially distant. And this is the SOG Shadow Spear for $69.95, and I think you can order this from Amazon, and it'll be there in time for Christmas Eve. So you put this under the tree, and I did get one. So I have one of these, and I'll have that for the patron only hour. We'll hold that up. I don't want to freak out the
just walk around stabbing.
I don't want the YouTube kids. Yeah, I don't want the YouTube people to lose their mind. The next slide is kind of dipping our toe back into sort of a little bit of the web of deception type world, which is where I'm starting to see catch and kill type activity, meaning I'm seeing these new characters being inserted into pretty impressive spots being commented on by big names. And so we've got Mike Benz, and Elon Musk is saying, oh, Mike Benz is asking good questions. And then on the next slide, we've got Alex Jones has got Ian Carroll, and he's promoting Ian Carroll on Alex Jones. And I saw Tucker Carlson just had this guy on who did a documentary about COVID. And it's like, who the hell is that? It's like catch and kill. Like, what, are you just like inserting people in here to try and take over the stories, and it just like out of the blue?
Seems to be.
And the audience is catching on to this now. The audience is starting to realize, like, what the hell's Mike Benz got to talk about? What is he bringing to the table here? And there's a bunch of these guys, and they've all been limited hangouts. To be fair,
Mike, and so hangout, yes, he has had a lot of information, but I don't know if you saw my interaction with Mike Benz outside of Madison Square Garden right after Jack Posovich, but those guys are buddies. They're kind of pulling the same gig.
what I'm getting at is I kind of think they're going to the same meetings. And I
Yes.
kind of get the feeling that this has all been a GEC thing. And then who was it? The guy from Connecticut. No, no, no. It was Daryl Issa. Daryl Issa, who I guess is from San Diego,
Yeah.
chimed in last week about the GEC and said,
They're
we're going to
closing
need
it
to
or
shut
something.
down the GEC.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Doge is going to close down the GEC. And you and I both had kind of the same reaction on Twitter within minutes of each other, which was
They're
sort
just
of, I'll
changing the
believe it
name.
when I see it. And I'm like, right. I'm like, dude, you got to kill the Smith Modernization Act in order to really snuff out anything like the GEC. And like you said, change the name. Oh, yeah, we killed the GEC. We don't have that anymore. Yeah, it's not there anymore. But, oh, yeah, we still have 60,000 people doing this crap.
We
They
have
just
a
don't,
very
it's not
recent
called the
example
GEC.
of exactly that happening, John. And I can't mention the name of the person, but there was a particular governance board that you might recall, which I did a news article
Right.
about and a video about. Basically, a day later, the thing totally shut down. But we can see already it's been reconstituted in a variety of different nonprofits. And see, that's interesting that Elon Musk is commenting right away on Mike Benz. Mike Benz is another one of those guys who treats the Twitter coup report like a leaf of poison ivy when I try to give it to him. These guys don't want to touch the damn thing.
Everything. Anything that we have reported,
Yeah.
he avoids like the plague. Again, with the most basic of things. Hong Kong doesn't have 10 dead, Mike. Is that interesting? Not interesting.
No, not to
He's
him.
avoided the most basic of things. And again, if we were a one-trick pony and there was only one story here, all right, so let's say you had the Twitter coup and there was no gunfire coming from 32 135, and that was it. That was it.
Yeah.
It would be kind of easy to ignore us and our work. But that's not what's been happening. What's been happening is story after story, cover up after cover up. We keep flopping the nuts. And we're sitting there like, with the documents from Ukraine. I just kind of stumbled into that. I mean, it wasn't
They blew up
intelligence.
that
It was just,
guy.
it was luck. Right. They killed the guy. Right. Right. So
Must have been unimportant
story,
what he was looking into.
right. And, it's like, remember when I was lambasting Bob Malone and I was making fun of him and I was like, hey, Bob, come on. And finally, he kind of capitulates when he came on the show and he's like, there might be something to this, right? There might be something to this. Now, meanwhile, he still blocks me on Twitter, hasn't unblocked me
I asked
yet.
him to unblock
So
us after the show.
Still hasn't done it. He hasn't.
He's busy. I called him again the other day to talk to him about Stephen Biss. He didn't want to talk about it, and he was just very busy and had to get off the phone. He is busy, I guess.
Right.
I don't know.
There he is, and he's got a bunch of horses he's got to take care of.
One more
the other thing that happened
along the lines of what you're saying, though, is that did you see that the Allegheny medical examiners lost the lawsuit that I brought? There's been another right to know lawsuit in my favor.
Yes.
So,
yes. Just awesome.
But they're stonewalling. They're not giving the evidence. This is basically, remember, we had conversation with Ken Silva.
Ken Silva. On the show this week. Yeah.
And
this is all big. People need to watch
the autopsy. But the problem is, I was like, well, wait a minute. How the hell did they determine that the dead guy was Thomas Crooks? And they're refusing to tell us. That's what this lawsuit is about.
Well, surprise, surprise. I mean, this gets to the heart of the matter, right?
Exactly.
So if the assassin isn't really Thomas Crooks, well, then who the hell is he, and who the hell is he talking to, and who are these guys, right? So it opens up the can of worms that they clearly don't want opened, which is kind of weird.
Right.
This past week, I was able to launch the video with Rachel, and Rachel is an eyewitness to the Las Vegas shooting. And her testimony is almost identical to Clarissa's in that, she saw very much what claims to have seen. She was in the VIP section with a girlfriend of hers and her girlfriend's mom, her elderly mom who had a bad hip or something like that. So it wasn't like they were partying and, they were kind of taking care of her friend's mom. And very, very interesting interview. It's now up to about 7,000 views on YouTube here.
Hmm.
And so, if you guys have not yet heard the account from Rachel, it's a fascinating personal story of what took place that night, how she got out of there, what she was feeling in the moment, and what has happened afterwards. What it cost her from a personal relationship standpoint. Really, a very very interesting discussion. I think you guys will enjoy it if you haven't seen it yet. So that's Rachel's story, and that is on YouTube, and it's about an hour and 25 minutes long. We also have had a hell of a year of shows. Um, so if you look back on this past year, we did 50 podcasts and a whole series of Web of Deception. And so, well over, 60, 70 shows this past year. I was out sick this past week with
Yeah, how
what
you
I
feeling?
think was, finally I feel better, but man, I got sick. Let's see, I guess I got sick the Sunday after the show 2 weeks ago, and I was on my back for days with a fever,
Terrible.
and in this case it made my stomach hurt. But a year ago, January 5th was kind of the pivotal show. That was the first show we did this year, 2024, and that show was the Chicken Illusion show. And that was the show where I kind of explained the whole 1917 avian influenza and the fact that I had been wrong for 3.5 years. So this was like a big mea culpa, because I thought it was 1918 H1N1 from Taubenberger. And it was the first show of the year, January 5th of 2024, when the whole 1917 Spanish flu thing came together. And, the realization that he was talking about avian flu. And so from that show, January 5th, the next show a week later was How Did Influenza Disappear from 100 Countries on Earth?
But
And
wait a
that was
second.
when we showed
How
yeah,
come it's blocked? It says it's partially blocked.
it's partially blocked in like some country because of some audio clip or something. There's like a
Oh.
45-second audio clip. And so it's blocked in Croatia.
Oh. Very
Yeah.
strict
Yeah,
copyright law in Croatia,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
dude, it's so weird. Yeah, I can't figure this stuff out. But how did influenza disappear? This gets into 100 countries. Influenza disappeared, fell off them. It was gone overnight. And this was the show where we talked about how, because it's not in the legend, there is no H7N9 in the legend. So when it becomes the dominant strain, it looks like there's nothing there.
Right.
So that was the show where we.
I thought that was that to me just it logically seems 100%
those two
correct.
shows.
Yeah.
Those two shows back to back were pivotal. That changed everything, because up until then, I thought it was 1918 H1N1 the whole time. I thought it was Taubenberger. I was ready to lynch the guy. Right? I had to do a whole mea culpa and apologize.
I think they frown
Taubenberger sent
on lynching.
fruit
You
basket.
can't do that.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard. Except in Georgia, I hear it's still a big thing in Georgia.
Back.
But
now, John, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think I have figured out what is causing this, and what I'd like to do, if you're ready. We're at 24 minutes, but what we can do is stop. I can change a setting here that I think is going to eliminate this problem, and then we'll resume with the sponsor exclusive segment that people will be able to join us for on subscribestar.com/IamJohnCullen, patreon.com/IamJohnCullen, odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, and subscribestar.com, and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. And then what we'll do, John, is after we complete the sponsor exclusive segment, I'll get with you on the phone and we'll just set it up so that the full preview broadcast goes out to everybody, because I've got it all recorded here on the phone and I'm pretty sure I know what's causing this disruption. How's that sound?
All right. I just want to make sure that the audience knows that I do not want them buying this product. The last slide in the deck, the final slide, I do not want you guys doing this. All right. I have seen video now of police departments firing their AR-15s at these things flying around. That's not a good idea.
How many pages of videos do you have here? This is like 1 million pages.
No. In the PDF, the last file in the PDF deck is the Arms Unlimited ALS
Yes, I got
Skynet
it.
12
I got it
gauge
here.
anti-drone defense
I've
round.
got it here.
So what I'm suggesting is, yeah, so this is highly effective if you're in Ukraine and they're sending drones after you. This is what you want in your 12 gauge shotgun to bring down these killer drones.
It sends
Don't
out these
use this.
strings?
Well, this is like a wire and a bunch of lead, and the lead projectiles go in different directions, and it basically wraps up the drone
Tangles it up.
in a bunch of, it's like Kevlar wire, yeah.
Is this
Tangles it up
Corey
and stops
Mills
flying
company?
and it falls down. I think it may be. I think this might be Corey Mills'
Corey Mills
product.
company. It is.
So tell Corey they're $35 a round. All right, $33.50 a round retail.
33. Oh yeah, look at that.
Tell Corey 33 and 50 cents. If they were 33, we would have
that would be a
party.
problem.
But tell Corey seriously, next time you're in Washington, seriously, I would like a box. For real. I would like a box. All right? For real. So tell Corey and we'll go do a video. Next time we're together, we'll go fly a video and we'll shoot it out of the sky. We'll get one of those cheap ones at Target.
We're not advocating destroying aircraft. It's a federal crime. Consult your attorney before you shoot at anything. But we'll be right back, and I'm just going to recover this here. And thanks for tuning in, everybody.
I'm going to go get my spear. I got to go get my spear.